This video is sponsored by Vector Dash. Vector Dash lets you play popular PC games like Apex Legends and Fortnite on your Mac by streaming them online with near zero latency. They support Magic Arena, so now you can play Magic on your Mac. Try Vector Dash for free for 7 days and get $5 off your first month with the coupon code GOLDFISH at vectordash.com/goldfish. Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another edition of Much Abrew About Nothing. So this week, we've gone over to the dark side of the Force to test the London Mulligan rule. That's right, one of the decks that people have been asking about the most with the London Mulligan rule is Serum Powder Eldrazi. Basically, a really all-in Eldrazi deck that's sorta, kinda, somewhat reminiscent of the original Eldrazi deck that created Eldrazi Winter, led to Eye of Ugin being banned. A deck that's very all-in on winning quickly with Eldrazi. So, this week, I'm going to put aside my hatred of Eldrazi Temple and see if this deck is actually as busted as it might be with the new London Mulligan rule. So a quick reminder before we break down Serum Powder Eldrazi. If you enjoy this deck and you enjoy Much Abrew in general, it would be amazing of you if you take a second, click that subscribe button down at the bottom of your screen. It's a great way to support the channel and the site for free. So let's talk Serum Powder Eldrazi. Starting with Serum Powder. So this deck, it is a very all-in deck. We're trying to mulligan into essentially really fast hands. Fast mana and then payoffs for that fast mana. And Serum Powder does a couple of things. First off, it gives us free mulligan. So we have a bad hand, we can just exile that hand if we have Serum Powder in it, start again, which is nice. It's also like a really bad ramp spell. It also provides a weird source of card advantage with Eternal Scourge. So if we have Eternal Scourge and Serum Powder, we can exile the Eternal Scourge, and then we can cast it from the exile zone. So it kind of draws us a card in a weird way if we can exile an Eternal Scourge or two. So what are we trying to mulligan into? And here the main thing is fast mana. Eldrazi are really powerful, but they're also kind of expensive. The best ones are 4 and 5 mana. So we're looking for my hated land Eldrazi Temple, just 2 mana for Eldrazi. Simian Spirit Guide, also extra mana, lets us explode out of the gates really quickly. And then if we're on the draw, Gemstone Caverns enters into the picture as well, giving us a free land on the battlefield at the cost of a card in our hand, but still an extra land on the battlefield starting on turn 1. So let's assume we get some of our fast mana going. What are we casting? And step 1, we have Eldrazi Mimic, which can come down on turn 1 with something like Eldrazi Temple. Just a 2/1 for 2 doesn't sound scary, but when a colorless creature enters the battlefield, we get to mimic its power and toughness. So if we cast a bigger creature, all of a sudden Eldrazi Mimic has that power and toughness until end of turn and gets in for a ton of damage. In the 3-drop slot, we already talked about Eternal Scourge. It's fine on its own. The big deal is casting it from exile, so we can exile it to Serum Powder, generate card advantage that way. Also, if it gets targeted by something, we can put it to exile, can cast it from exile, so it's hard for some decks to deal with. And then Mana Reshaper, just a 2/of, 3/2 for 3 isn't high power stats by Eldrazi standard, but it gives us a nice card advantage when it dies. Maybe giving us a cheap permanent on the battlefield, or worse, drawing us a card. Then we have our big payoff Eldrazi, and the cards that really win us the game are Thought-Knot Seer and also Reality Smasher, which are just very big and powerful. This deck, in theory, we could be casting Thought-Knots on turn 1, turn 2, little more likely, and that's a big body that also takes our opponent's best card to come down that quickly, growing our Eldrazi Mimic until end of turn, and then Reality Smasher, just a hasty 5/5 trampler, comes in, smashes our opponent, theoretically closes out the game really quickly. Otherwise, Chalice of the Void, another card we can mulligan into depending on the matchup. We have literally no 1-mana cards in our deck and very few 2-mana cards, so we're mostly setting this on 1, which does just beat some decks by itself. Also pretty reasonable on turn 2 against some decks as well, like on 1 and 2, kind of hard locks decks like Burn out of the game. So just a free win card that doesn't really cost us much to play, and we can mulligan into it. As far as removal, Dismembers, kills a lot of stuff with the 4-bat, it costs some life, but remember, we're an all-in aggressive deck. We're not looking to play the control game, win in the late game. We're looking to play Eldrazi Mimics and follow that up with big Eldrazi and just smash our opponent's face on like turn 4. And then Chandra Torture Defiance, one of, removal, card advantage, just a little bit of everything. Mana base, we talked about our fast lands, Eldrazi Temple, Gemstone Cavern, the cards that we're really looking for those explosive hands. We also have Ghost Quarter, just a one of, Ramen Abrew and some free damage. And remember, our deck really wants colorless lands because a lot of Eldrazi need colorless mana. Scavenger Grounds, just free roll graveyard hate on a colorless land that also works with Ramen Ruins. Sulphurous Springs, a little bit weird. No black cards in our main deck. I love that art though, one of my favorite arts in Magic. Also allows us to cast a certain sideboard card we'll get to in a minute. Otherwise, Mountains, some waste in case we get Blood Moon. Then we have in the sideboard, bunch of removal, Abrew gets artifacts or creatures, Anger is a sweeper, Warping Whale, kind of a weird catch-all, counter spell, / removal spell, / ramp spell. Blood Moon to jank people out of the game, also why we have Waste. Leyline of the Void, why we have black mana in the mana base. In theory, we want to mulligan into it most matchups against like Dredge or whatever, but we can cast it if we draw 2 Sulphurous Springs. And then Shatterstorm to deal with like Hardened Scales type decks. And that is Serum Powder Eldrazi for Modern. And that's our Much Abrew deck for this week. So we're going to see how this goes. We don't normally play Eldrazi, but we're going to look to smash phase, see if we can mulligan into some Eldrazi Temple, some turn 2 Thought-Knot Seers, and see just how much the London mulligan rule improves this deck. So anyway, let's get to the gameplay, see how Serum Powder Eldrazi works with the London mulligan rule. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the video, and I will talk to you soon. Alright, Much Abrew About Nothing time. We have gone to the dark side with Serum Powder Eldrazi under the London mulligan rule. And we have our Serum Powder, we have an Eternal Scourge, so this is kind of a freebie to Powder. We lose Obligators, which is fine. Thought-Knot Seer, which, land's not important, so, yep, Powder. Into, well, this hand actually has good cards, but we don't have mana, so we're gonna Powder. This hand, ooh, boy. Still no Eldrazi Temple. This hand has Chalice and not much else. I think we mulligan. Yeah, we can just not find a Eldrazi Temple. We didn't exile any either. Well, this one I guess we're going to keep. Definitely going to need lands. We haven't exiled that many. 1, 2, 3. And just put Eternal Scourge on the bottom, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I guess we keep this. Awkward. Yeah, we'll keep. Put Eternal Scourge to the bottom. Hopefully Chalice is good. Hopefully we draw mana. Sulphurous Springs, go. The card that we actually want most is just Eldrazi Temple, really. Opponent. Untaps. Cinderglade. Oh dear. Reality Smasher. That's not a dream. Well, Chalice on 1? I'm not sure it actually stops anything if this is Scape Shift. Maybe we should have played it on 0. Snow-covered mountain. Farseek. We draw. Oh my goodness. Us is the worst. Alright, Eternal Scourge. We're having a really hard time hitting land somehow, which is kind of amazing. Opponent, land, passes. Well, there's a mountain, so we go to combat. We get in with Eternal Scourge. Hit our opponent. Cast another Eternal Scourge. Pass the turn. Opponent, 4 mana. Wow, blows up a land. Alright. Well, that's not ideal. Gets a land. Plays a land. We draw Serum Powder. Wow, this has been super awkward. How many lands are in this deck? Not enough in our hand. Yeah, Primeval Titan, and that's game. Alright. Well, nothing we did there really mattered. So, go down Dismembers. They do nothing. Go up 3 Blood Moons. And go down Chalice. At least a couple. For Warping Whales. And, yeah, run it like that. Huh. 23 lands. So we had 20... Our deck was like 50% lands, and we just could not hit one. Could not hit one to save our life, unfortunately. Alright, so we're on the play. Yeah, we got a mulligan. Alright, Eternal Scourge to the bottom. Ramen Ruins. Pass the turn. So we can turn to a Blood Moon, but then we can't cast Thought-Knot Seer, ever. Opponent, Wooded Foothills, cracks it. Stomping Grounds, untapped. And Search for Tomorrow's suspended. We draw a Ghost Quarter. Well, Gemstone Caverns. Pass the turn. I think we need to Thought-Knot Seer next turn, and then Blood Moon is our best bet. Opponent, Windswept Heath, cracks it, down to 16. Forest, and Farseek. Yeah, opponent's getting their ramp on. Opponent passes. Well, play Ghost Quarter, exile Simian Spirit Guide, Thought-Knot Seer, Lightning Bolt, Roast. Alright, so we take the Roast. Pass the turn. Surge comes down, gets a land. Can this Thought-Knot lead us to victory? That is the question. Surge grabs a mountain. Stomping Grounds. Alright, so we know our opponent's hand. There's Secure Tribe Elder. Matter Reshaper. So awkward. Alright, so Chalice. What do we do? Chalice on 1. We gotta play a risky game here. Opponent fires off their Lightning Bolt. Alright, so we have to not attack this turn. Opponent. 2 lands in hand. Untaps. Mountain. Alright, still 2 lands in hand. Opponent passes. Well, we go to combat. We attack. Opponent takes it. Play Blood Moon. Pass the turn. So this shuts off Valakut killing our stuff. There's a Valakut. Opponent passing. We draw Simian Spirit Guide. Well, get it with Thought-Knot Seer. Hit our opponent. Opponent takes it. Play Spirit Guide. Pass the turn. Opponent's still not sacking their Secure Tribe Elder. They need another green source to cast Primeval Titan. Opponent passes. We draw Eldrazi Temple, which doesn't do anything. Well, alright, so we just cast Obligator. Can't pay. Go to combat. Attack. Opponent's got a block sack. Yep. Block sacks, drops to 3. Gets a forest. Well, I mean, this is it. Opponent's got to do something this turn. Eldrazi Temple, go. Opponent untaps. Reclamation. Oh my goodness. Reclamation Sage. Kills Blood Moon. No way! Oh, magic gods. Oh, man. That was really insane running. All right. Well, we saw our opponent's hand. They had 2 lands, and their top decks were Rex Sage into Primeval Titan, which is really absurd. And a land to sweep our board. So our 1 out is to draw an Obligator here. This exact turn. Mimic, and we scoop it up. All right. And that is unfortunate. Wow. All right. Much brew about nothing time. We are testing out the London mulligan rule with, I think we got to keep this, with Serum Powder Eldrazi. And I think we got to keep this because we have turn 1 Chalice. And I mean, it is matchup dependent, but there are a reasonable number of top tier decks in Modern that literally just can't beat turn 1 Chalice on 1. Hopefully it's one of those. We can even follow it up pretty quickly with Chalice on 2 if we hit a land. So, Mountain, Simian Spirit Guide, Chalice on 1. Pass the turn. Come on. Be devastating. Wooded Foothills. Oh my god. Opponent cracks it. Stomping Grounds. Untapped. Wait. Opponent. Oh, opponent. Oh, they're dredging. Okay. Well, Scavenger Grounds is sweet. Play Gemstone Cavern. And pass the turn. Steam Vents. Untapped. Loam's back a land. Alright. Opponent passes. Well, Scavenger Grounds. Simian Spirit Guide. Chalice on 2. Pass the turn. Opponent dredges, but doesn't really hit anything relevant. I mean, Chalice on 1 and Chalice on 2 should have our opponent relatively out of this game, I would think. We could use a threat. A threat to actually kill our opponent would be nice. Okay, Conflagrate. Wow. Alright. Well, opponent is staying alive. Get back the dorks. We draw. Ghost Quarter. Well, cast Obligator. Don't steal anything. Opponent cracks. Blood Crypt. Tapped. Ghost Quarter. Pass the turn. No attacks. Opponent. Dredges Loam. Combat. Attacks. Well, we will trade with Prized Amalgam. Take 2. Opponent passes. Sulphurous Springs. Well, play Sulphurous Springs. Play Serum Powder. Pass the turn. Opponent. Combat. Gets in with Bloodghast. Down to 12.
Hardcast Stinkweed Imp. Oh my god. Well, play Ramanamp Ruins. We're gonna lose! We're gonna lose to Dredge not being able to cast a spell. That is insane. Opponent, combat, attacks. Well, we will take it. Down to 9. Alright. So sacrifice Ramanamp Ruins, exile the graveyards, draw nothing, solve for a Springs, go. Wow. This is so incredibly bad. Opponent gets in for 3. We've just drawn all nothing. Down to 6. Faithless Looting gets countered. Opponent passes. It's another land. Whoa, man. I do not understand how anyone has ever won with this deck. I don't get it. Other people, Serum Powder. All right, and that does it. I do not understand. I don't get it. I really don't get it. I don't understand how other people win with Eldrazi. It's really just, it's beyond me how that actually works. Alright, so go down Dismember's Obligator, go up Leyline of the Void, run it like that. It's so crazy to me. It really blows my mind. Because the deck always looks really good when other people play it, but are we playing it wrong? That seemed like a fine hand. We just drew a land every turn. Well, I mean, this hand we will keep because we have Leyline of the Void, and that's our best card. We don't have great follow-ups. I mean, I guess we get to play an Eldrazi Mimic, and then I mean, I guess that gives us potential. Turn 1 Eldrazi Mimic with Leyline. That seems like a good start, but if we don't draw more threats, we don't actually have much action. Bloodstained Mire, opponent cracks Bloodstained Mire. Stomping Grounds, untapped. And Faithless Looting. Yep. This is where we need to draw Eldrazi, I think. Opponent passes, Leyline. That is the worst draw in our deck. Well, play Mountain. Play Simian Spirit Guide. Oh, that doesn't actually work. It's not an Eldrazi, is it? Alright, go to combat, get in for 2. Opponent untaps, 15. And Blood Crypt, tapped. Passes. Waste. Well, go to combat, get in with Mimic. Play Waste. Play Simian Spirit Guide. Pass the turn. Opponent. I mean, maybe the worst of beatdowns. If we ever draw like a Reality Smasher or something, our deck does things, sort of. Golgari Thug. Opponent passes. Well, I guess Matter Reshaper is at least enough that we get to attack with this Mimic. Go attacking. So that is something. Hit our opponent. Ramanamp Ruins. Go. Opponent. Mountain. Hardcast Creeping Chill. Sure. Passes. Alright, there's a Thought Knot. So it looks like things are going to work out in the end. Thought Knot Seer. Attack our opponent. And opponent scoops it up. Okay. Well, our deck came together that time. We hit our Leyline, and we kind of got him. Alright, keep it like that. I think we just need to draw a Leyline in this matchup. I think that's essentially what this matchup is about. Alright, we are on the... Okay. Wow. This feels like the Eldrazi Nut Draw, but I don't know if we can keep this. We have turn 2 Thought Knot, turn 3 Reality Smasher, but does that beat Dredge on the play? I don't think it does. It's insane that we're mulliganing this, but I think... Haha, okay. Well, this hand has a similar start, but with Leyline of the Void. Alright, yeah. Opponent, Copperline Gorge, passes. Well, Eldrazi Temple, go. Do they have Nature's Claim? They do. Alright, so opponent, staying alive. They had to mulligan a lot to find it. Ugh, Conflagrate, okay. Opponent passes. Well, Eldrazi Temple, Thought Knot Seer. Well, this is when the deck feels powerful. Snag, Engineered Explosives. Opponent has not much going on. Opponent, all they have is a land in hand. Passes. Play Ramanamp Ruins. Thought Knot Seer. 2 lands. Combat. Attack. Hit our opponent. 16. And now we can kind of feel the power of this deck. Opponent passes. Eternal Scourge. We'll play Ramanamp Ruins. I think we just go for it. Play Eldrazi Obligator. No stealing. Eternal Scourge. Combat. Hit our opponent. Pass the turn. Down to 5. What do you got, opponent? They need something that I don't know if it exists in their deck. And opponent is done. It's done. And that's how Eldrazi with Serum Powder is supposed to work. That was a little nerve-wracking in game 1, but yes, we were against Dredge. But in games 2 and 3, once Leyline came in, that was insane. This was by far the best draw we had with our deck. Turn 0 Leyline, turn 2 Thought Knot, turn 3 Thought Knot. That is a hand that is going to be a lot of decks. Well, okay. Turn around for Serum Powder Eldrazi. Sweet. All right, much brew about nothing time. We are testing the London Mulligan rule again with Serum Powder Eldrazi, and this hand is pretty bad, but thankfully we got a Serum Powder, so maybe it'll be good. We'll spin the wheel. This hand has turn 2 Eldrazi Mimic, turn 3 Thought Knot Seer on the play. That might be good enough. Or we ship it and try to find Eldrazi Temple. Let's be greedier. Alright, so this hand is not good, but we get a Serum Powder. So we put, I guess Simian Spirit Guide to the bottom? Okay, this hand we will finally keep. Turn 1 Eldrazi Mimic, turn 3 Thought Knot. Actually, turn 1 Eldrazi Mimic, turn 2 exiled Eternal Scourge, turn 3 Thought Knot, potentially turn 4 Reality Smasher. Well, play a land, Eternal Scourge. Opponent cracks. Hallowed Fountain tapped. Alright, that's a lot of power on turn 2. Smash in for 3. Hit our opponent. I mean, that's a fast start. Opponent untaps Glacial Fortress and passes Serum Powder. Well, play Gemstone Caverns. Thought Knot Seer. Opponent could have a counter here. Opponent does. Alright, well, we attack for 5. Hit our opponent. Down to 11. Pass the turn. Opponent blind flips a Terminus. I swear to God that is the bane of our existence. That happens roughly 100% of the time. Okay. Well, we get a Reality Smasher now. Ooh, actually, even better. Thought Knot Seer. Number 2. This one resolves. Take a Timely Reinforcements. Play a Mountain. Go to combat. Hit our pass the turn. Opponent needs a land to even really do anything. Opponent does not draw a land. Well, we get to Reality Smash. Attack for 9. Opponent to 2. Tap land. And scoops it up. And take that control. The flipping of the Miracle was not enough. That was not enough to keep our opponent in the game. Yeah, they flipped it. No, it was not good enough. All right, opponent's playing blue-white control. This is tough. Go down Dismembers. Obligators also do not seem good. I think we Blood Moon and Warping Whale. Maybe we have to keep one Obligator. Shatter Storm's bad. Anger bad. Abrade bad. Dismember pretty bad. Leyline of the Void, meh. Leyline would be better if we didn't have to mulligan into it, but since we have to mulligan into it, it's a lot worse. Well, okay. You can see the power of the deck. The deck, when it gets its draws, it is incredibly powerful. Like, that's the good news. It does feel like a strangely high-risk strategy for just playing a bunch of, like, good standalone creatures. And there's a lot of variance involved, but the good hands are really insane. I guess that's the power of the dark side. Playing, yeah, we definitely are Serum Powdering this. This hand does literal nothing. This hand, alright, sure. Turn 1 Mimic, turn 2 Thought Knot. That's a hand. I mean, we put our opponent to the test. Pressure, pressure, pressure. We didn't exile any Eternal Scourges, unfortunately, so we don't have any free exile value. But this hand's too good to pass up, I think. Opponent, Flooded Strand, passes. Well, another Serum Powder. Let's Eldrazi Mimic. Pass the turn. Flooded Strand for our opponent. Ooh, Chalice. That might be better. Let's play Sulphurous Springs. Chalice on 1. Wow, resolves. That locks out a reasonable amount of removal. Hit our opponent, pass the turn. Yield of Guin. Opponent cracks. Plains. Cracks. Island. Wow, Field of Ruins. Okay, we do have wastes. So take a waste. Exile Simian Spirit Guide, play Ramanant Ruins. Thought Not Seer. Grow Mimic. Pick apart the hand. Yup, become a 4/4, please. Timely Cryptic. Well, take Cryptic, and we're going to try to beat through the Timelies, I guess. That is a lot of life. Opponent. I mean, we just keep slamming and hope that it's enough. Field of Ruin for our opponent. There's the Timely, up to 18. Passes. So we will Eternal Scourge. Grow Mimic. Combat. Attack. Opponent blocks. 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 So we're going to kill a creature. That's fine. And then they get to do it again next turn. Pass the turn. Yeah, double Timely is going to keep our opponent alive for a minute. Wow, Field of Ruin. Interesting. Okay. Well, we do have more ways. This also, I guess Blood Moon isn't as good. Okay, they still get to play time. Oh, Detention Sphere. All right, that's a little annoying. And they get to draw a card. And they still have Timely. Well, Exile Spirit Guide. Reality Smash. Hit our opponent. Down to 6. Flooded Strand. Timely. Up to 12. Opponent passes. Well, go to combat. Attack. Opponent blocks. 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 Takes a bunch. We will play Serum Powder. Opponent cracks down to 6. Gets a land. Absorbs. Alright. Well, opponent untaps. What do they have? Snapcaster. Oh my goodness. Wow. That is a lot of Timelies. Alright. Does not get creatures though, but they go to 15. We go to combat. Hit with Reality Smasher. Opponent takes it. We play Simian Spirit Guide. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They should have some dead cards, but we got to kill them before they get to a Terminus. Opponent passes. Eternal Scourge. Go to combat. Attack. Opponent blocks. Takes 5. Play Gemstone Caverns. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. And scoops it up. Whoo! We got there. I was so scared we were going to get Terminus, but we got there. And the deck, it's got power. It's got power. Serum Powder, mulligan like crazy, and hopefully stomp in. Up to 2-1. Up to 2-1 after a slow start. Sweet. All right. Much Abrew about nothing time. We are again playing the dark side. Serum Powder, Eldrazi. This hand, no Serum Powder, but I don't think we can keep it. It's just so slow. This hand, if we draw I guess we gotta keep it. If we draw Eldrazi Temple, it's good. If we draw land, it's fine. Yeah, we're gonna keep. I think we put one of our Thought Not Trons to the bottom. Opponent. So, I mean, obviously we're hoping for Eldrazi Temple, but we're looking at something like, oh, Serra Ascendant. Okay. That's a big, expensive, card. Alright. Opponent. Tap land. And Thraben Inspector. Gaining life. Yup. Alright. Well, we'll see. So we get to waste and Eldrazi Mimic, although if we don't draw a land, we're stuck not really doing anything next turn, which is less than ideal. Maybe we should have went to 5. This deck, it seems like, and this probably isn't a surprise, but it seems like the games you win are the ones where you have Eldrazi Temple. So maybe you just like mulligan for it, Boggle style? Let's play Mimic. But that does seem like by far the most important card to the deck. Opponent Pathing Mimic would be sweet. We would find that an acceptable outcome. Opponent, combat. Attacks. Alright, I guess we take it for now. Come on, deck. Give us a land. Ruined Halo. On Thought Knot? That's not good if that's what it is. On Thought Knot. That makes our hand a lot worse. Opponent passes. Well, we draw land. I guess we just, this feels weird, but I think we just Eldrazi Displacer. No stealing of anything. Turn Mimic into a 3/1 and hit our opponent for 6. If we can keep our opponent's life total low enough, then the Serra Ascendant's less scary. Flagstones. Opponent. Combat. Gets in with Saracen. It gains a life. Yeah. That Ruined Halo is annoying. Well, alright. 1, 2, 3. Gemstone Caverns Part 2. Simian Spirit Guide. Reality Smasher. Mimic. Becomes a 5/5. Go to combat. Attack. Alright, opponent has Cast Out. Alright, that's not bad. There goes our Reality Smasher. Opponent takes their beats. This is a prisony deck. Opponent, combat. Attacks with Ascendant. Does not attack with Ascendant. Passes. Well, I mean, I guess we just cast an Obligator. Oh, we gotta pay red. Cast an Obligator. No stealing. Mimic becomes a 3/1. Go to combat. Attack, attack. Oh, God. Huh! What is going on in this deck? Well, okay. Huh. Now we lose our board, essentially. Yeah, this is bad news. Pass the turn. Plains for our opponent. Avacyn's interesting in a deck that plays a lot of creatures that die to it flipping. Field of Ruin. That's fine, we got ways. Yeah, grab a waste. Opponent, combat. Attacks, attacks, attacks. I guess we take it. Down to 8. Yeah, this was just not a fast enough hand. Oh boy. Opponent's all about these ghost quarters that aren't really doing anything, but sure. We'll grab a mountain. Simian Spirit Guide. Thought Not Seer. Doesn't do anything because Ruined Halo. But it does make a Mimic a 4/4. Allows us to go attacking. Opponent clues. Takes their beats to 10. I don't think we can beat this Avacyn, though. Cast out, yeah. Now we definitely can't. We just don't have answers. Alright. Well, we need a faster hand than that. That's for sure. Opponent's playing some sort of... I don't know exactly what our opponent's doing, honestly. I am slightly confused. Chalice on 1 seems okay. It's probably pretty good. Anger of the Gods seems reasonable. The question is, what can we cut? We do need ways to deal with... Maybe we cut a couple Chalices. They don't seem that good. Warping Whale in. Warping Whale in. Maybe we go 2 Dismembers? Maybe we try it like this. Leave a couple of Chalices. A Braid would also be fine, I guess. Is it better than Chalice? Maybe? They do have answers to Chalice. We saw the cast out. Alright, let's try it like that. And hopefully just get a aggressive start. We get to play first. Well, this is the easiest Serum Powder. That's Serum Powder Tron somehow. This hand... Okay. I mean, turn 2 Reality Smasher something. We'll see if it's enough of something, but we're going to try. Opponent. Martyr of Sands. Well, Eldrazi Temple. Hopefully we stop drawing lands. Reality Smasher. Combat. Attack. Hit our opponent. I mean, that's a lot of damage on turn 2, although Martyr of Sands undoes a lot of our work. Opponent. Field of Ruin. Squadron. Hawk. Sure. I wish we could steal and sack this Martyr of Sands. That would be great. But we're a mana short. Opponent. Passing. Getting in with Martyr of Sands. Yup. We draw... I guess we settle for another Reality Smasher. I mean, this is a clock. Turn 2 Reality Smasher, turn 3 Reality Smasher. Opponent's going to gain a bunch of life, but still, they're down to 5. Oh, God. If they could play that silly enchantment on Reality Smasher, I'm going to cry. They have that silly enchantment on Reality Smasher. We do not have an answer for that in our 75. Well, close. We are close to doing it. Opponent goes attacking. Sure. And now we know our opponent gets to gain back essentially all the life that they've lost, which means we're in actually pretty bad shape. Play a Gemstone Caverns. I guess we pass the turn. We can't attack with our Reality Smashers because of Martyr of Ruined Halo. Opponent draws a card. Plays a Myria. Gets in with Squadron Hawk for 1. Yup. Down to 16. Passes. Well, we keep drawing lands. Play Ramen on Bruins. Pass the turn. Oh, this Ruined Halo is insane. So insane. Opponent. Martyr of Sands. Gains 1 million. Literally 1 million. 7 white cards in hand. Holy. Including a Proclamation of Rebirth. Wow.
I don't know if we can get out of this. Opponent. Well, this feels like it can be a good matchup, but maybe it's actually not a good matchup. Opponent Field of Ruins. We'll grab a Mountain. Opponent passes. Well, play Matter Reshaper. Play Ramanop Ruins. I mean, at least Matter Reshaper is a thing we can attack with. That is a creature, but our opponent's back up to 26. We had them dead in one turn before our opponent drew Runed Halo, which was insane. Proclamation of Rebirth. Gets back Martyr's Sands. Opponent's just going to gain a bit more life, apparently. Opponent gets in with Squadron Hawk, sure. Well, we untap. Oh boy. That is the daggers from our deck. Another Reality Smasher that just doesn't do anything. Opponent blocks. Sacks. Reveals a million cards. Up to 47. Oh, and they drew another Ruined Halo. I don't know if it's possible we win from here. Seriously. Martyr of Sands. Off the tizzy. Warping Whale is cute. Go attacking. I mean, Warping Whale is not a bad card. It's just so late. Our opponent's at 70 life, and they have all of our best threats stopped forever. Opponent, Martyr of Sands. 7 cards, up to 68. Opponent gets in with Squadron Hawk. Opponent is just not drawn lands. They've drawn mono white spells this entire game. Oh my god! Alright. Well, I mean, the Ruined Halo is the card that allowed our opponent to live, and then since the Ruined Halo, they have just drawn whammy after whammy, and somehow had only 5 lands in their top 40 cards. Well, 21 cards, but... Well, that was an absurd hand for our opponent. Alright, well... yeah. I don't know if that's a bad matchup. It's really tough to tell. We had our opponent literally dead on board on, like, turn 4, turn 3, if they didn't have Ruined Halo. Their life gain is good, though, and we don't have many ways to interact with it, so maybe it's just a miserable matchup. Alright, much Abrew about nothing time. We are turning to the dark side with Serum Powder Eldrazi, and... okay. I mean, I think we keep this. It's not insane, but we theoretically have turn 1 Matter Reshaper, turn 2 Matter Reshaper, and then hopefully we draw more relevant Magic cards. Seems like the kind of hand we gotta try. I mean, a turn 1 3/2 is not bad. We will keep. Opponent, Mishra's Bauble, cracks Mishra's Bauble, peeks at our deck, Bloodstained Mire. So Death Shadow by the looks. Cracks Bloodstained Mire. Watery Grave, untapped, Thoughtseize. Alright, so opponent's down to 15. With London Mulligans, Thoughtseize is essentially a given. Should probably just expect that your opponent has it every game. Opponent. More baubles. Alright, opponent's just running out the hand. Passes. We draw. Anything of relevance? Sort of. Well, Eldrazi Temple, Simian Spirit Guide, Matter Reshaper. Go. I mean, Obligator is better than a land. I don't know if it's much better than a land, but it is technically better than a land. Jace Vryn's Prodigy for our opponent. That's not really a thing. Well, go to combat, get in with Matter Reshaper. Opponent blocks, play a Mountain, pass the turn. Yeah, more lands aren't great. Would have been a good turn for a follow-up. I think we gotta save Obligator to kill a Death Shadow, though. Opponent cracks Bauble, takes a peek, flips Jace. Yep, and... I discarded Stubborn Denial. Gets a Jace, takes up a Jace. So, like, Thought Knot would be good. Cycle Street Wraith. Basically anything that we can play this turn would be somewhat helpful. Opponent passes. Baubles. We draw Dismember. That's not really on the helpful list. Well, go to combat. Attack Jace. Actually, maybe we just attack our opponent. Opponent takes it. Play Scavenger Grounds. Pass the turn. So this keeps Jace from flashing something back if they go that direction. We would prefer not to sack it, because we are actually kind of counting on this Obligator. Opponent takes up Jace. On the other hand, our opponent playing a creature would be fine. Alright, Death Shadow. That's fine. Opponent passes. So we play a Mountain. Eldrazi Displacer. Steal Death Shadow. Kill Death Shadow. Yup. Boom. Dead. We get a Obligator. Go to combat. Attack our opponent. Still gonna ignore the Jays. Wow. Dismembers. Alright. Down to 2. Do they have more Death Shadows? That's the biggest question. Bloodstained Mire. Still crackable this turn. Takes up Jace. Passes. We draw Mountain. Well, go to combat. Attack our opponent. Wow. Cracks. Goes to 1. Gets a Swamp. Snapcaster. Okay, for Stubborn Denial, that's fine. We don't really care about that. Opponent blocks. We hopefully hit something that's not a land. Oh, actually, we're more than happy to hit a land. Ramanop Ruins? Ah, okay. Well, that works. That's not 100% the plan, but that does get the job done. That does get the job done. Okay. That was good. That was very good. All right, so against Death Shadow, this is actually interesting. Very interesting. Chalice is good if we get it down. Leyline is actually kind of relevant. It doesn't stop Death Shadow in specific. Blood Moon is also devastating. I wonder if we go on a more prison-y plan here. I wonder if it's worth it to go more towards prison. Like, we could bring in Leylines and Blood Moons. Maybe we cut the Mimics? Is that crazy? Bring in Leylines. Go down Dismember for Blood Moon. Chandra for Blood Moon. And maybe one more Matter Reshaper for Blood Moon. Let's try it like that. This might be a risky plan, but this gives us a lot of I win type of cards. Well, okay. We will keep. Hard to ship a double Eldrazi Temple hand. Bobble. Alright, opponent, do your thing. Land. I assume if they Thoughtseize, they have to take Blood Moon. Because it's just so easy for them to straight up lose if we draw a Simian Spirit Guide. Yup, takes a Blood Moon. Well, Eldrazi Temple. Simian Spirit Guide. Eternal Scourge. Pass the turn. Opponent, not cracking their Bobble. Interesting. We do have dead Leylines now, which is a little rough. But we also have the double Eldrazi Temple star. Opponent cracks the Bobble. Thought seizes. Takes Thought Not. Steam Vents. Tapped. Draws a card. Well, go to combat. Get in with Eternal Scourge. Play Eldrazi Temple. Play second Eternal Scourge. Pass the turn. Polluted Delta. Opponent. Do they have a Death Shadow? Can they protect it from Dismember? This is actually a pretty tense game. Opponent. They get it over. Cracks. Snapcaster Mage. Okay. I assume they just Inquisition. Yep. I mean, they still gotta deal with the Scourges. Takes Dismember. Opponent passes. We draw nothing. Go to combat. Attack our opponent. Takes it to 5. Ramanop Ruins. Pass the turn. Bloodstained Mire. They have a Death Shadow. Okay. It's an 8/8. Ugh, I don't know. Grim Lavamancer. Opponent passing. Play a Mountain. Pass the turn. Oh, so close. Opponent cracks Bloodstained Mire. Grows Death Shadow. Blood Crypt. Tapped. Untaps. Jace. Oh, I think this is enough to keep our opponent alive. Combat. Passes. We draw. Well, play Reality Smasher. Now I wish we'd played it last turn. No attacks. Oh, if I knew we'd draw a second one. I was hoping they would attack with Death Shadow. We could sneak in for lethal, but it didn't work out that way. Opponent. They're also going to get to flip their Jace, and they can exile both of our Scourges if they want to. Alright, opponent. Untaps. Jace. Flips. Discards a land. Oh, this is so close. Wow, takes up Jace on Reality Smasher. Interesting. I figured they'd go after the Scourge. Opponent. Land. No attacks. Leyline's pretty bad. Well, Reality Smasher. Combat. All-out attack. Opponent. Eats one Reality Smasher. Blocks. Yep. Kills some stuff. out of cards, drops to 1. All right, this is it. Red source wins us the game with Ramanamp Ruins. So Simian Spirit Guide, Mountain, another Ramanamp Ruins. We don't have that much red mana though. But if we can hit a red source, it is game. Assuming our opponent doesn't draw a way to kill us. Takes up on Reality Smasher, sure. If our opponent doesn't draw anything, they can't attack with Death Shadow. Gets in with Snapcaster, yep. Come on, deck. Red mana, red mana. That's a Mountain. That's a Ramanamp Ruins. And that is very much a dead Death Shadow opponent. Yes, please. And Ramanamp Ruins with the double kill. And, that was a wild, wild league. That is a wild deck. I feel like, I guess it's something we talk about in the wrap-up. If you pick up Serum Powder Eldrazi, the deck is absurdly powerful, but you gotta learn to mulligan with it. And I feel like if there was a weakness in our game, and I felt like I mulliganed pretty aggressively by my never mulligan standards, but I think that is how this deck plays. It is all about knowing how and when to mulligan, and that's wrap-up stuff though. We have a treasure chest. We have a treasure chest to crack open. Only one, but let's crack it. You never know. Sometimes it only takes one. Bad green cards. Oath of Ancient Wood, really bad green card. Boundless Realms, not the worst green card. Good for Commander, maybe, sort of, in certain decks. And, play points. Alright, well, I mean, we got there-ish. 3-2, competitive league, Serum Powder Eldrazi. We'll take it. We will definitely take it. What a, man. The deck is super powerful. Maybe it's the perfect modern deck. It feels like every modern deck, which is, it feels... this is wrap-up stuff. It feels like it has unbeatable draws, but then it loses to itself sometimes. And that feels like a lot of decks in Modern these days, but we can talk about it in the wrap-up. So, hey, be right back. So, what do we learn this week about Serum Powder Eldrazi? And we played a competitive league. We finished 3-2, which, I mean, 3-2 is not a bad record. We fed the children, technically. We lost to Titan Breach, which, oh boy, that was a tough loss. That was a brutal one. We had our Blood Moon, but our opponent drew the right answers, and we got Emerald at one point. So that was one loss, and then we also lost to Martyr Proc, and the more I think about that match, it might just be a really bad matchup. Their life gain is insane, and our opponent just got up to like 70 life, and they had removal for our stuff, and I don't know how we ever killed that deck. But we also beat Death Shadow, we beat Blue-White Control, we beat Dredge. So really, I feel like Serum Powder Eldrazi, obviously, this is the deck that improves under the new mulligan rule, because the deck mulligans a lot. Arguably, we probably should even mulligan more. I think I went into this thinking, all right, I'm going to mulligan aggressively, and I feel like I mulliganed more aggressively than normal, but it still might not have been mulliganing aggressively enough, because the deck really... when it comes right down to it, it feels like a broken deck when you have your fast mana. When you have Eldrazi Temple, maybe 2 Eldrazi Temples, into a threat, the deck feels sometimes unbeatable. And that doesn't even include random just like Chalice locking someone or Blood Moon out of the sideboards. So that's the good news, is it has these seemingly unbeatable draws. On the other hand, if you don't get one of those hands, maybe you mulligan a couple times, never find any of the fast mana, sometimes you're left with like 2 lands, a couple of Reality Smashers, a Dismember, and you look like you're playing one of the worst decks in Modern. So it is definitely a high variance deck. When you look at this deck, it doesn't necessarily look high variance, but really, if you don't have the fast mana, the deck is pretty tame. When you're just playing Thought Knot on turn 4, Reality Smasher on turn 5, a lot of Modern decks are going to be able to beat that. So it feels like this is a deck that really is all about the mulliganing, and trying to mulligan into that fast mana plus a finisher when you have like turn 1 Thought Knot Seer, turn 2 Thought Knot Seer. It is like the most busted deck in the Modern format. So there's a lot of mulliganing that goes into it, and I think that's the main skill of the deck, is trying to mulligan into the proper hand, and knowing when you can mulligan again and be greedy, when the hand is good enough and it's not worth mulliganing again. And I think that just takes a lot of play with the deck. So that's the biggest challenge if you do decide to pick up the deck, is really practicing how to mulligan, how aggressively to mulligan, and trying to sculpt those perfect hands with the London Mulligan rule. But the power level, it's obviously very high. Even our loss to Titan Breach, that felt a little unfortunate. I felt like we had them once we had the Blood Moon down, so we were really close to going 4-1, and the Martyr Proc, like I said, We weren't especially close in that one. I think you just write that off as a bad matchup, and that's a characteristic of Modern as well. Like, there's so many decks attacking from so many different angles in the Modern format that your deck's not going to be everything. So I feel like a lot of decks in Modern these days, there's a very low floor, maybe not as low as some decks, but also a very high ceiling for Serum Powder Eldrazi. And a lot of times it feels like we either win or lose based on our own deck, in our hands, and how we mulligan. So I feel like that's where this deck fits in. We had some horrible games, we had some great games. Serum Powder is sweet. It definitely is nice to have those free mulligans. We didn't get a ton of Eternal Scourges exiled, but when it happens, it's pretty awesome. And Ramanop Ruins was a surprise all-star. That was a card that let us kind of steal wins from Death Shadow and lock in that winning record in our last round, which was kind of hilarious that both games we somehow won with Ramanop Ruins. I mean, if there was ever a deck to take advantage of Ramanop Ruins, it's one like this that already wants the colorless mana and doesn't mind the red mana. The one thing I would say, Blood Moon is weird in this deck. Blood Moon, yes, it's very powerful. It is also super risky because we don't have any fetch lands or anything. We only have 3 wastes in our deck. We only have 4 Serum Powders that we're often mulliganing. So there is a very high risk that we are going to sort of color screw ourselves out of colorless mana if we play a Blood Moon. So I don't know if there's a way to fix that or build around it, but it's definitely worth bearing in mind that there's some games where we get this weird tension where like, all right, well, we could turn 1 Blood Moon, this is going to be great, but they were like, then we could never cast Thought Knot or Reality Smasher or Mana Reshaper. So I don't know, maybe it's still worth the cost, because in some matchups, Blood Moon is essential to having a chance, but it can be painful, so don't bring it in too often. As weird as it is for me to say that as a Blood Moon lover, don't bring in Blood Moon too often, because there is a real downside in this deck to locking out our own colorless stuff if we don't draw a Serum Vision or one of our 3 ways. So anyway, we went to the dark side. It worked pretty well. Definitely more fun to be the person that plays turn 1 Eldrazi Temple, turn 2 Eldrazi Temple Thought Knot here than the person that has that happen to you. That I will admit for sure. So I don't know. I mean, the deck definitely feels powerful, can be a little bit inconsistent. Maybe we should have mulliganed better. But if you like smashing huge things, mulliganing a lot, maybe getting tricky with the Exile Zone, seems like a reasonable option with the London Mulligan rule. So anyway, that's been our Much Abrew for this week. Serum Powder Eldrazi for Modern. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon.
Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.